Hey, this is a video showcasing a simple interactive music system in Wwise and also kind of my workflow on how I create interactive music from like Reaper to Wwise. This is the same system I teach to my students at Tampere University of Applied Sciences. So it's a pretty simple system and pretty suitable for beginners as well, if you're interested in that. So I have a music switch, which is switching between exploration, stealth, and combat music, and then a couple of RTPCs that will get into a little bit on what they do and stuff. So let's get into it. So a little bit of nice acoustic guitar here. And when we up the game intensity, we get a couple of new layers. And then when we spot an enemy, we go into stealth mode. So we get a little transition and then the stealth music starts. We can up the game intensity to get some cool stuff. And then when we finally get into a combat, tempo changes a little bit and we get a bit more intense music, of course. And we get back to exploration, we defeat our enemies and we are done with combats. So I have a short break and then a fade in for the exploration music. Then I have the second RTPC called Game Cursedness, which is basically just fun effects that kind of make it sound a bit more cursed. So basically 100% cursed is like Silent Hill or something. So let's get back to the stuff here. So the way I have it set up here, if we look to the left, is that I have a music switch containing combat playlist, exploration playlist, and stealth playlist, and the transitions as well. Just so they are in the same container, so they are routed through the same effects. And inside of each of these playlists are the segments. And for this one, it's just a simple segment for all of these. Try to keep it as simple as possible. So this is the combat segment. It has a couple of tracks inside of it. And we'll get into more of the separate tracks when we get into the Reaper side. But so I have them rendered here so I can choose what I need. And I can use the RTPCs to kind of blend between the tracks. So if we take a look at the RTPCs on these tracks, we go to the RTPC tab. Voice volume being affected quite a bit, which is nothing special. It's just controlling the voice volume. And the more intense the game gets, the more tracks are in it. And this combat music doesn't have anything else, but in the exploration, we have on the extra track, which is here. So it's a choir. So in here, I wanted to kind of get a auxiliary reverb here. So when it fades in, it also kind of gets less reverby. So the transition is a bit smoother. So it kind of fades in from like the darkness or something. So similar things are happening in the stealth segment. So same thing again with this time with the other choir, not this choir. So it kind of fades in from the darkness again. Kind of cool. And then we have the transitions. So transition from exploration to combat, exploration to stealth, and combat finish as well. And as you can see, exploration to combat actually has 2 tracks here. So every time it plays, it picks up a different track. So they are in a random step track. Same thing actually with lead tracks on these different music tracks. They are actually doing that same thing. So every time a combat segment plays, it picks up a new line of choir. And for the actual transitions, we have here a couple of different ones. So most of them are just going from one segment to another and then playing a little transition segment there. So whenever we switch, there's always some sort of transition. And most of them are using the clips, and then one of them is just fade in, fade out exploration, stealth to exploration. So I was thinking that if you go from exploration to stealth, and then back to exploration, kind of makes sense that it just fades out and in. So let's check out the Reaper project. So inside of Reaper, it kind of looks like this. So we have exploration, stealth, combat, and then transitions here, similar to what we had on the Wwise side. And the project setup for this type of stuff is really important, and Reaper is really helpful in that. There's a lot of options available for you. So I have different regions for exploration, stealth, and combat, and then all the transitions as well. And if we check out what's inside of all of these, there's I'll make it a bit smaller. You can see rhythm, bed, lead, and extra tracks for all of these, and also the reverb. So the way I do this helps me kind of import and export stuff from Reaper to Wwise really easily. So inside of each of these like master tracks, we have these sub tracks, and inside of those ones, I have a few more tracks as well. So when I go to export this stuff, I can just select which tracks I want, and everything will be named accordingly and be really handy. And we'll take a look at the render settings in the end. So exploration music sounds like this. And of course, all the lead tracks are here. So let's check out what's in here. So on the rhythm track, we have a bass drum. And this is recorded with a kind of classic trick of recording a drum head on its own, really close to the microphone, and then just very slightly tapping it. So on its own, it sounds like this. And then we can affect it a little bit with the EQ and stuff. Add a bit of compressor. Then some Valhalla. Reverb. Then I have a shaker track. Just 2 tracks of shakers that I recorded. And I have them exported as these tracks. So I have more options when I'm doing like the fades with the RTPCs and stuff. Bed. Just some simple acoustic guitar. So my idea kind of was that rhythm and the bed are mostly playing. Although in the exploration music, the bed is the most important thing. It's just cool and simple. And on its own, raw recording sounds like this. And then we, of course, some reverb on it. And some EQ. Little bit of compression. Some denoise. Just because I was playing so quietly that the AC was kind of making a bit of noise. Then Haas to make it a bit more stereo. Just sounded cool. And then Sooth to just take away a bit of the guitar string noises and stuff. Then we have the lead instrument, which is piano, Noir plugin. And they are just simple piano lines. And just a couple of different versions of the lead track. Then we have extra track. Some nice choir. And it's the Nordic Voices Women of the North instrument. Really nice. And that's it for the exploration. Then on the stealth, we have a rhythm section with a couple of tracks of Damage 2. One of my favorites for nice large percussion, but of course this is a bit more subtle. And a couple of different tracks of that. So if I wanted to get a bit more subtle with the RTPCs, I could do that quite easily. And bed. So a choir track containing my own voice here. And then adding a little bit of EQ, distressor for compression, pitch shift to make it sound a bit otherworldly, and of course reverb to make it sound nice. And layered that with some actual choirs, this time Men of the North. Then we have some guitar hits. So this is actually really quiet without the effects. This is actually me just playing the acoustic guitar with some pliers, just hitting it with some pliers. It sounds a bit like a dulcimer or something like that. Then for lead, it's actually empty. Extra track. Again, the Women of the North choir here. And then for the combat music, you might notice as well that different music has a slightly different tempo, just to get that feeling when you are switching the tracks. So combat music, just gonna mute the lead for now. And in the rhythm section, a couple of layers again. So kind of the main drums are here, and they are again damaged too. And a heavy drum layer to kind of give that little more oomph to the rhythm. And this only comes in at like 100% game intensity. Shaker. Just a simple shaker that I recorded. Then we have a bit. Just some strings and high and low strings. I had some like acoustic guitar stuff here as well, but it was a bit too much, so keep it simple. Then for the lead, I have a couple of choirs, and I've kind of routed them through this one track, which is actually the instrument track, and all this is just MIDI information coming from these tracks to that main track. And it kind of worked with the renders and stuff. I usually don't do it this way. I usually just have another copy of the instrument on each track or something like that. But I think this worked pretty well for this one. Then extra, I have this really nice horn, lurhorn from Iceland. Really cool sound. Then for the transitions, Pretty simple, exploration to combat. And then just adding some simple swells here. I wanted to keep the transitions sounding similar to the music they are transitioning to or from, so I just use the same instruments, and I think that's a pretty good way of doing that. Combat finish. So I used the same strings, but actually did some staccato this time. Kind of fun. And then exploration to stealth is just simple. Couple of clickety clacks there, and then the simple swell, and off you go. Okay, so let's check out the rendering settings. So this is the main reason that I actually set up my whole project this way. So I like to start kind of from the top down. What tracks do I need for the music, for the interactivity and stuff? So that's why I have these kind of layers like exploration, stealth, combat. So if I open the render settings here, so and render matrix. So if I wanted, I could just have these 4 tracks. I could export 4 tracks: exploration, stealth, combat, and then the transitions. Or because I want a bit more detail, I could export the exploration rhythm, bed, lead, and extra tracks. But for this purpose, I have exported all of these different sub-tracks as well. And this works really well in Reaper because you can use the naming systems and stuff to get it all the namings correct, and works really well. So exploration, let's say I wanted to export all the exploration music tracks. So I can choose bass drum and shakers and guitar acoustic. And then from the lead tracks, I want all the piano tracks separately. And then the extra track as well. So this is 7 files. And I've named them region. It takes the region name, parent name, track names, time signature, and then the BPM as well. Then I can check out dry run, see how they start to export. So I can see that, okay, it's exporting bass drum, shakers, guitar, piano, and extra. And it's exporting them correctly, exploration, rhythm, bass drum. So when I import them into Wwise, I know that, okay, this is the exploration rhythm track, and these are like the or exploration segment, and these are like the tracks I want to import there. And then I can play around with the RTPCs and stuff and create like a nice mix inside of Wwise. One key thing about this also is to add a little bit of tail to the tracks when you're exporting, because when you loop that stuff in Wwise, you want to kind of you don't want it to cut out right away. So I've added a little bit of tail, so when the loop starts over again, it plays the tail over the start of the loop, so it kind of sounds good. So if I wanted to, I could export also the stealth tracks. So I'm just going to do it the way I did for this one. So choir and guitar hit. And then for the combat as well, I can export like drums heavy, main and shaker, strings low, strings high, lead source, choirs, and extra. And then for the transitions, I can do master tracks as well. So this is kind of what I love about working with Reaper. I can just get all this stuff by clicking one button, and then if it's exporting via master, it's taking all the reverbs and master effects you have going on. It will render them as well. That's pretty much how I like to work on this stuff. Keep everything nice and organized. And when I'm planning my projects, I usually start from top down. So whatever tracks the client needs, I start from those ones. So if there's like a limitation of give me like 4 music segments and each of them has to have like 4 tracks. So not more than 4 tracks. So then you have to kind of think about what the client needs at that point and what sounds good and what you can work with. So that was kind of my quick demo. So if you have any questions about sound design or this Wwise stuff or anything, just leave a message below or send me an email or something so I can then try to answer that. Thanks for watching.